Wardening. If you are taking blood pressure medication and you have not heard about this one vegetable, please stop everything you are doing right now, because what I am about to share with you could change your life in ways you never imagined possible. Dorothy Jenkins, 68 years old, a retired school librarian from Portland, walked into my office 3 months ago with tears streaming down her face. She grabbed my hand and said, "Dr. Harrison, I have been on these pills for 11 years. 11 years, and my numbers are still all over the place. I feel dizzy every morning. I cannot play with my grandchildren because I am afraid I will fall. Is this really how I have to live for the rest of my life?" I looked at Dorothy, this woman who had spent her entire career helping children discover the magic of books, and I felt something break inside me, because I knew there was something I could tell her. Something so simple that she would probably laugh when she heard it. Something that Japanese doctors have been using for generations, and in just 21 days Dorothy's life would never be the same. But let me back up for a moment. My name is Dr. Michael Harrison. I have been practicing medicine for over 32 years, and I have seen more patients struggle with blood pressure than I can count. Good people, hard-working people, people who did everything their doctors told them to do. They took their pills every single day. They cut back on salt. They tried to exercise when their bodies would let them, and still they suffered. Now, before I go any further, I need to be clear about something important. What I am sharing today is for educational purposes. It is not a substitute for the personalized care you receive from your own physician who knows your complete medical history. Please always consult with your healthcare provider before making any changes to your health routine. That said, what I am about to tell you is backed by solid research and decades of clinical observation. It is like trying to bail water out of a boat with a hole in it. You keep scooping and scooping, but the water keeps coming in. That is what blood pressure medication does for most people. It scoops the water, but it never fixes the hole. And what I discovered from my colleagues in Japan, what I am about to share with you today, actually fixes the hole. It goes to the root of the problem. And it does it using something you can find in any grocery store, probably for less than $3. Robert Chen, 72, a retired mechanic from Sacramento, came to see me after his wife Margaret practically dragged him through my door. Robert was stubborn, the kind of man who fixed his own car, his own plumbing, his own everything. He hated relying on pills. He told me, "Doctor, I spent my whole life fixing things with my own 2 hands. Now I cannot even fix my own body. I take 4 different medications, and I still feel like an old engine that is about to give out. My wife is scared. My kids are worried. I just want to feel like myself again." Robert's story is not unique. I hear versions of it every single day. And what breaks my heart is that so many people like Robert and Dorothy suffer in silence, thinking this is just what happens when you get older, thinking the pills are the only answer, thinking they have no choice but to accept feeling tired, feeling dizzy, feeling like a shadow of who they used to be. But here is what I need you to understand. Your body is not broken. It is not a machine that has worn out beyond repair. Think of it like a garden that has not been getting the right nutrients. The flowers are wilting, the leaves are turning brown, but the garden is not dead. It just needs the right care. It just needs the right food. And once you give it what it needs, you will be amazed at how quickly it starts to bloom again. Now, I want to tell you about something that happened in Japan that changed everything I thought I knew about blood pressure. About 15 years ago, I had the privilege of visiting a small medical clinic in Okinawa. If you do not know, Okinawa is famous for having some of the longest living people on the planet. People there regularly live past 100, and they do it with sharp minds and strong bodies. They are not bedridden, they are not pumped full of medications. They are gardening, cooking, playing with their great-great-grandchildren. I asked the doctor there, a brilliant man named Dr. Tanaka who had been practicing for over 50 years, what their secret was. He smiled at me, this knowing smile, and he said something I will never forget. He said, "Dr. Harrison, in America, you treat the symptom. Here, we nourish the cause." And then he showed me something, a simple vegetable that had been a staple of the Okinawan diet for centuries, a vegetable that most Americans walk right past in the grocery store without a second glance. Patricia Williams, 65, a grandmother of 7 from Chicago, was one of the most skeptical patients I have ever had. She crossed her arms and looked at me like I was trying to sell her a used car. She said, "Doctor, I have heard it all. Every miracle cure, every magic pill, every too-good-to-be-true promise. My sister tried one of those things and ended up in the hospital. So forgive me if I do not believe that some vegetable is going to do what 10 years of medication could not." I understood Patricia's skepticism. I really did. The world is full of false promises, especially when it comes to health. It is like walking through a forest full of signs pointing in different directions, and you do not know which path leads home and which one leads you deeper into the woods. So I told Patricia, I am not asking you to believe me, I am asking you to try it for 21 days, just 21 days, and if nothing changes, you have lost nothing. But if something does change, if you wake up one morning and realize you have not felt dizzy in a week, if your numbers start moving in a direction you have not seen in years, then you will know, and that is exactly what happened. Patricia called me on day 19, not day 21, day 19, and she was crying. She said, Dr. Harrison, I woke up this morning, and I felt, I do not even know how to describe it, I felt clear, like a fog lifted. My daughter noticed it too. She said, Mom, you look different. You look like you did when I was a kid, but I am getting ahead of myself. Before I tell you exactly what this vegetable is and how to use it, I need to explain why it works, because if you understand the why, you will be much more likely to actually do it, and I want you to succeed. I want you to feel what Dorothy and Robert and Patricia felt. I want your family to see the change in your eyes. Here is what most people do not understand about blood pressure. Your blood vessels are like garden hoses. When they are flexible and relaxed, water flows through them easily, but over time these hoses get stiff. They get clogged with buildup, like mineral deposits in old pipes, and when that happens, your heart has to pump harder and harder to push the blood through. That is high blood pressure. It is not a disease, it is a symptom. It is your body crying out for help. It is like a warning light on your car's dashboard. The light is not the problem. The light is telling you there is a problem. Most medications work by forcing your blood vessels to relax or by reducing the amount of fluid in your body. It is like turning down the water pressure to a trickle so it does not stress the pipes. Sure, it works in the short term, but it does not fix the pipes. It does not remove the buildup. It does not make the hoses flexible again. And over time, the underlying problem gets worse and worse, even while your numbers might look okay on paper. James Thompson, 70 years old, a retired firefighter from Boston, learned this the hard way. He had been on medication for 8 years. His numbers were quote-unquote controlled. His doctor was happy, but James was not. He told me with a trembling voice, Doctor, I saved people from burning buildings for 30 years. I was strong. I was fearless. Now I cannot walk up a flight of stairs without feeling like my chest is going to explode. My wife has to drive me everywhere because I get so lightheaded. This is not living, this is surviving, and barely. James had tears in his eyes when he said that. This man who had run into flames to save strangers, this hero, was sitting in my office feeling defeated, and I knew right then that I had to help him, that I had to share what I had learned in Japan. Because people like James deserve better, people like you deserve better. So what is this vegetable? What is this simple, inexpensive thing that Japanese doctors have been recommending for generations? What is it that Dorothy and Robert and Patricia and James all used to transform their lives in just a matter of weeks? It is beets. Simple, humble, purple beets. Now, I know what you might be thinking. Beets? That is it? I have seen beets at the grocery store my whole life. How could something so ordinary be so powerful? Let me explain, and I think you will understand. Beets are like nature's pipe cleaners for your blood vessels. They contain something that once it enters your body, gets converted into a substance that tells your blood vessels to relax and expand. It is like magic oil for rusty hinges. You know how a door that has been stuck for years suddenly swings open easily once you oil the hinges? That is what beets do for your circulatory system. Think about it this way. Imagine your blood vessels are like rivers. When the riverbanks are wide and flexible, water flows smoothly and gently. But when those banks become narrow and rigid, the same amount of water has to force its way through a smaller space. That creates pressure, that creates turbulence, that creates damage to the riverbanks themselves. What beets do is help widen those riverbanks again. They help restore the flexibility that time and poor nutrition have taken away. But here is the thing. The way most Americans eat beets, if they eat them at all, does not work. Pickled beets from a jar, most of the good stuff has been destroyed. Beets that have been sitting in the store for weeks, the power fades over time. Beets that are boiled to death until they are mush, you have cooked away most of the benefit. There is a specific way to prepare beets that maximizes their effect on your blood vessels. A way that preserves everything your body needs to start cleaning out those pipes, relaxing those hoses, and giving your heart the break it has been begging for. When I told Dorothy about beets, she looked at me like I had grown a second head. She said, Dr. Harrison, my grandmother used to make beets. I always thought they were just an old-fashioned side dish. You are telling me this whole time the answer was sitting in my grandmother's recipe box. and in a way, yes. Our grandparents and great-grandparents ate beets regularly. They did not think of them as medicine. They were just food. But somewhere along the way, we stopped eating them. We replaced real food with processed food. We traded grandmother's kitchen for fast food windows. And our bodies have been paying the price ever since. Think of it like this. Your body is a house that was built to run on a certain kind of fuel. Real food. Vegetables from the earth. Simple, whole ingredients. But for the last 50 or 60 years, we have been feeding that house the wrong fuel. It is like putting diesel in a gasoline engine. The engine will run for a while, but eventually things start breaking down, parts start failing, and no amount of tune-ups will fix it until you start using the right fuel again. Now let me be clear about something. I am not telling you to throw away your medication. That would be dangerous, and I would never recommend it. I am not suggesting you change any medications without speaking to your prescribing physician. What I am telling you is that there is something you can add to your life, something simple and natural that could work alongside whatever you are already doing. And in time, as your body starts to heal, as those pipes start to clear, you and your doctor might be able to have a different conversation about what you need and what you do not. Helen Martinez, 63, a recently retired teacher from Phoenix, was the most disciplined patient I have ever had. When I told her about beets, she went home and did exactly what I said, to the letter. She called me every week to update me on her progress. On day 7, she said she noticed she was sleeping better. On day 14, she said the afternoon headaches she had accepted as normal had simply disappeared. On day 21, she went to her regular doctor for her checkup, and her numbers had improved so significantly that her doctor actually asked her what she was doing differently. Helen told me, "Dr. Harrison, you know what the best part is? It is not just the numbers. It is that I feel like myself again. I feel like the Helen who could chase her students around the playground. I feel like the Helen who used to dance in the kitchen while making dinner. My husband looked at me last night and said, 'There you are. I have been waiting for you to come back.' That is what this is really about. It is not about numbers on a chart. It is about getting your life back. It is about being present for your family. It is about waking up in the morning and feeling excited about the day instead of dreading it. It is about doing the things you love with the people you love for as many years as possible." Let me tell you about another patient who came to see me just 6 months ago, George Patterson, 69 years old, a retired postal worker from Minneapolis. George had been dealing with blood pressure issues for nearly 15 years. He was on 3 different medications, and he told me something that really stuck with me. He said, "Dr. Harrison, I feel like I am living my life on the sidelines. My grandson plays Little League baseball, and I cannot even sit through a whole game without feeling exhausted. I have to leave by the 5th inning, every single time. My grandson asks me why I have to go, and I do not know what to tell him. How do you explain to a 9-year-old that grandpa's body just does not work right anymore?" George started crying when he told me that. This man who had walked thousands of miles delivering mail, rain or shine, for over 30 years, was now unable to sit through a children's baseball game. When I told him about beets, he was willing to try anything. He was desperate, and his wife Linda was right there with him, holding his hand, saying, "We will do this together. I will make sure he eats his beet every single morning." By day 12, George called me sounding like a different person. He said, "Doctor, I sat through the entire game yesterday, the entire game. When it was over, my grandson ran up to me and said, 'Grandpa, you stayed. You stayed the whole time.' And I picked him up and I hugged him, and I did not feel dizzy. I did not feel like I was going to fall over. I just felt like his grandfather again." So let me tell you exactly how to do this, because the details matter. You cannot just eat a beet once a week and expect miracles. But if you do this correctly, consistently, for just 21 days, you will likely start to see changes that surprise you. First, you want to get fresh beets. Look for ones that are firm, not soft. The deeper the purple color, the better. Those purple pigments are actually part of what makes beets so powerful. They are like little warriors that go into your bloodstream and clean house. If you can find beets with the greens still attached, even better. Those greens are edible and packed with their own benefits. When you are at the store, pick up the beet and feel its weight. A good beet should feel heavy for its size, like it is full of life and moisture. Avoid any that feel spongy or have soft spots. Those have lost much of their potency. Second, the preparation. This is crucial. You do not want to boil your beets into oblivion. The best way is to eat them raw. I know. Raw beets sound about as appetizing as chewing on tree bark. But here is the secret. You grate them, just like you would grate cheese. When you grate raw beets, they become tender enough to eat easily, and you preserve all of the good stuff that would be destroyed by cooking. Take about one medium-sized beet per day. Grate it finely. You can mix it into a salad, you can blend it into a smoothie with some apple or berry to sweeten it, or you can simply eat it with a drizzle of olive oil and a squeeze of lemon. The olive oil actually helps your body absorb the beneficial compounds even better. It is like adding a key that unlocks the door. Now here is a tip that many of my patients have found helpful. If the earthy taste of beets is too strong for you at first, start by mixing your grated beet with a grated apple. The sweetness of the apple balances out the earthiness of the beet, and you still get all the benefits. After a week or so, most people find that their taste adjusts, and they actually start to enjoy the natural flavor of the beet on its own. Your taste buds are adaptable. Give them time. Another option is to add your grated beet to a morning smoothie. Combine it with some frozen berries, a banana, and a splash of orange juice. The fruit flavors mask the beet taste almost completely, and you end up with a delicious purple smoothie that looks like something from a fancy health spa. Several of my patients have told me their grandchildren actually ask for sips of grandma's purple drink. That is how good it can taste when you prepare it right. Third, timing matters. The best time to eat your beet is in the morning or early afternoon. Your body processes things differently at different times of day. It is like planting seeds in the spring versus planting them in winter. Same seeds, very different results. By eating your beet earlier in the day, you give your body the full day to use it effectively. Some of my patients have found that eating their beet with breakfast gives them a noticeable boost in energy that lasts well into the afternoon. Fourth, and this is important, consistency beats intensity. One beet every day for 21 days will do far more than 7 beets in one sitting. Think of it like watering a plant. A little water every day keeps the plant thriving. Flooding it once a week kills it. Your body works the same way. Small, consistent doses are far more powerful than occasional large doses. Fifth, keep a simple journal. Nothing fancy. Just a notebook where you jot down how you feel each day. Note your energy levels, any dizziness, how you slept, your mood. After 21 days, look back at that journal. Most people are amazed at the progression they see. Changes happen so gradually day to day that we do not notice them. But when you look back at day 1 compared to day 21, the difference is often remarkable. William Foster, 74, a retired postman from Denver, was initially resistant to the idea of eating raw beets every day. He told me, "Doctor, I am a meat and potatoes man. I have not eaten a vegetable that was not covered in gravy in 40 years. My wife is going to think I have lost my mind." But William's wife, Betty, was the one who pushed him to try it. She told him, "Bill, I have watched you struggle for years. I have watched you turn down trips with the grandkids because you were too tired. I have watched you fall asleep at 7 o'clock every night. Just try it. For me, for us, for the years we still have together." William started his 21 days with great reluctance. He grumbled about it. He complained about the taste. But by day 10, something shifted. He told me, "I do not know how to explain it, doctor. It is like someone turned the lights back on. I woke up on Saturday, and I asked Betty if she wanted to go for a walk. She almost fainted. I have not asked her to go for a walk in 5 years." By day 21, William was a different man, not just in his numbers, which had improved dramatically, but in his spirit. He had hope again. He had energy again. He had his life back. And that is what I want for you. That is why I am sharing this with you today. Because somewhere out there, there is a grandchild who wants to play with you. There is a spouse who misses the person you used to be. There is a life waiting for you that does not involve feeling tired and dizzy and hopeless. Now, I want to address something important. Some people ask me, "Dr. Harrison, if beets are so powerful, why does not everyone know about this? Why are not doctors prescribing beets instead of pills?" It is a fair question, and the answer is complicated. Part of it is that medical schools teach us to prescribe medications. That is what we know. That is what we are comfortable with. It is like asking a carpenter why he does not use screws when all he has ever been given is a hammer. It is not that screws do not work. It is that he was never taught to use them. Another part is that there is no money in beets. A pharmaceutical company cannot patent a beet. They cannot charge hundreds of dollars a month for something you can buy for $2 at the grocery store. The system is not set up to promote simple solutions. It is set up to promote complex, expensive solutions. It is like a maze that always leads you to the same exit, even when there is a door right next to you that you cannot see. But the good news is that more and more doctors are waking up. More and more of us are looking to places like Japan and Okinawa, and asking, what are they doing differently? Why are their people living longer, healthier lives? And slowly, the answers are spreading. Slowly, the truth is getting out. Dorothy, the retired librarian who was my first patient to try this approach, sent me a letter recently. She wrote, "Dear Dr. Harrison, I just got back from the park with my grandchildren. We fed the ducks, we had a picnic, I chased them around the playground, and not once, not a single time did I feel dizzy or afraid. Thank you for giving me back my life. Thank you for showing me that there was another way. I am going to tell everyone I know, and that is exactly what I am asking you to do. If this information helps you, share it with someone you love. Share it with your spouse, your sibling, your best friend, because somewhere out there someone is struggling just like you are. Someone is sitting in their living room right now, feeling hopeless, feeling like their best years are behind them, and you could be the one who shows them that it does not have to be that way. 21 days, that is all I am asking. 21 days of one raw beet per day, prepared simply, eaten consistently. You have nothing to lose and everything to gain. Your heart is waiting, your family is waiting, your life is waiting. I think about all the patients I have seen over the past 3 decades, all the hands I have held, all the tears I have witnessed, and what keeps me going, what gets me out of bed every morning, is the chance to see another transformation, to see another Helen dancing in her kitchen, another William walking with his wife, another Dorothy chasing her grandchildren without fear, another George sitting through his grandson's entire baseball game. Your body wants to heal. It is desperate to heal. It is like a garden after a drought, just waiting for the rain. And beets, simple, humble, purple beets can be that rain. They can be the start of something beautiful. So here is what I want you to do right now. When this video ends, I want you to write down 3 words. Beets, grated, morning. Put that note somewhere you will see it every day. On your refrigerator, on your bathroom mirror, on your nightstand. And tomorrow when you go to the grocery store, pick up a bag of fresh beets. Start your 21 days. Start your journey back to yourself. And remember what Dr. Tanaka told me all those years ago in Okinawa. In America you treat the symptom. Here we nourish the cause. That is the difference. That is the secret. That is what I want for you. Thank you for listening to me today. Thank you for giving me your time, your attention, your trust. I know there are 1,000 things competing for your attention. I know it is hard to believe that something so simple could make such a difference, but I have seen it with my own eyes over and over again, and I believe with all my heart that you can experience it too. If you found this helpful, if you learned something today that you might use, I would appreciate it if you subscribe to this channel. I share information like this every week, information designed to help you take control of your health and live your best years with energy and independence. And if you know someone who is struggling with their blood pressure, someone who is tired of feeling tired, someone who is ready for a change, please share this with them, because sometimes all we need is for someone to say, hey, listen to this, it might help. Sometimes that one message can change a life. Take care of yourself, take care of the people you love, and remember, your best years are not behind you, they are waiting for you, just 21 days away.